So 3 years ago, this was me. Oh my gosh, super, super giddy. Like, if there was like a superhero that was a giddy, that was me. Now you'll notice my shoes haven't changed, apparently. Neither is mine. Am I still like this? You know? No, but this was the start of my digital nomad journey a few years ago, right here in Barcelona. And at this point, during this time, I've become completely obsessed with remote work because it allows us to work how we want to work and structure our day how we want to do that and be who we want to be, right? But there are plenty of inherent challenges, and that's some of what I'll talk through. So what we're going to talk about today briefly is, like, to me, being able to really thrive in a remote environment and find a remote job, at least for me, it's not just about the professional side. Like, I'm not going to tell you 5 job board hacks that are going to change your life. I'm going to talk about personally what to do, and then talk about professionally, and then the master over here will talk about legal. We can move on to the next slide. So this is remote work, right? We are on an island. We are in Mallorca. We've got the laptop out. You know, your work takes, what, 30 minutes, and then coconut falls from a tree. A man picks up the coconut and slices it open for you and gives you a straw. It's a paper straw, of course, no plastic. And then for this woman, a sort of svelte local guy comes out of the water and says, "¿Quieres tomar algo?" And that's it, right? I mean, that's remote work. This is what everyone thinks, correct? That it's just your life on a beach, no problem.
It is.
That's not the full reality. Now, here's what companies think. Next one. Companies think that this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll admit, this is going to really upset you. I'm a Liverpool supporter. And when I'm back in the US, if there's a Liverpool match on during the day, during the week, this is me, okay? No doubt. But this is what companies think we do. They don't think we're productive. They don't think we're creating something meaningful, which is a key part of the remote relationship. And I'm going to go to a quote on the next slide from one of the most brilliant women in tech. Who knows who Marissa Meyer is? Anybody? She's an absolute genius. But she went into Yahoo as the CEO after leaving Google's product development school, not school, but team, and completely got rid of their remote work policy. She said, "I think we all know in that setting, you don't necessarily have the most productive day." And I disagree.
The trust thing.
It's the trust is a crucial component, right? And if you look from the outside, guy on the couch, you know, girl on the beach, you understand why people and companies have problems adopting remote work. Here's the good news. Here's the great news. I'm going to show you some numbers that demonstrate that this revolution that we all want to be a part of, this is happening right now. It is happening right now, and we are the leaders. Everybody in this room is a part of that group. So let's take a look at some quick numbers, and then we'll kind of get into some strategies. And right, like this is the number. I see some smiles coming through the group. 82% of people lower stress and higher morale. And I think if our employers maybe cared about us a little bit more, we would see a lot more companies going remote. And I'm not saying they don't. There are a lot of wonderful companies out there that do put employee wellness first. But this is just a staggering number. 82% of people are less stressed and have better morale when working remotely. That's according to remote.co. Next one. 22 people are 22% more productive. This is a groundbreaking study of a customer success company in China with 13,000 agents. Those teams were 22% more productive. So call centers it's easy to track productivity because, you know, it's phone calls and texts and so on. What if there was like 22% more of you working on a job? Like, wouldn't you be able to rise up more quickly? Wouldn't you be able to learn more and grow more? 22% more productive. And then, yep, next one. Digital nomads. Who knows what a digital nomad is? Who is a digital nomad? Can I have your autograph? I spent 3 years as a digital nomad. I'm retired from digital nomad life. We talked about this on the way in. I'm not actually retired, but I'm retired from digital nomading to live here so that I can have coffee with my attorney all the time. 1 billion. There are predictions there will be 1 billion people living like this by 2035. The remote work revolution, the ease of travel, a true democratization I shouldn't put it that way, but really a true like lessening of borders and nation states and opportunities for all of us to live where we want to live and how we want to live. And honestly, in terms of the digital nomad approach from a legal standpoint, this visa, which Christian will talk about, is one of the best opportunities by far of any country in Europe and of any country in the world that's being offered right now. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to talk about the next one. We're going to talk about personal, and then professional, and then legal. So, does anybody know who this guy is? Not this guy on the slide. Anybody know who this guy is? Probably not. You might know his name. His name's Stephen Covey. He wrote the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Has anyone read that book? It is awesome. It's not a book, right? It's like a life experience. But one of the things that he talks about, you can go to the next slide. Thanks, Christian. One of the things he talks about is I think, really important to remember in this conversation. Remote jobs are very competitive at this point. A lot of people want to be digital nomads. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's totally possible. But it's so easy for us in our lives, if we don't like our job or we don't like our apartment, to think that happiness and fulfillment is going to come from the outside, right? We change our job, we're going to be happy. It doesn't work that way. It comes from the inside out. It comes from creating an environment within yourself, executing on that, and then everything just kind of falls into place. And that's why I want to start. That's why I want to start on the personal side of what I think you guys can do today instead of, or in companion with, going on a job board, right? So the number one thing, and I ask myself this all the time, and what I'm going to recommend, some people taking notes, this is what I'm going to recommend you do on that piece of paper, maybe when you get home or tomorrow or over the weekend. What do you want in life? What do you want why do you want remote work? Like, why is that something that you really want to do? What is the deeper meaning behind it? Because to be able to work remotely, you have to have very, very deep self-discipline, right? You have to have exceptional levels of personal motivation. And if you don't understand why you want this, it's not going to last very long, okay? And I know that's a bit of a harsh reality. But understand who you are. What's up, Dan? How are you, bud? Who you are and what you want. There's nothing like the power of a pen and a blank piece of paper. That is the number one thing to initially undertake. And that understanding of what you want is going to drive you even farther within the role you're hired for, to find that role. Find your purpose and sort of live that purpose every day. I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. Number 2. What do you offer? Wow, I mean, this is kind of tough. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. What am I really good at? What was your name, sir? John. John, it sounds like you're good at a lot of different things, and like myself, it's like, how do I figure out what I really offer? You know, it's a challenge. Remote companies are super, super detailed because they don't have to spend time in the car, right? They don't have to spend time, dealing with office politics or chit-chat or coffee breaks or any of that. And it means that your job is going to be super detailed. And when you go to look for a remote job, you have to be prepared to say on a very specific level, exactly what it is you do. So, what do you offer? By the way, I totally forgot to say what I wanted. That was rude. To me, and these two coincide, the world to me, as I mentioned, is like a village, right? Like everybody in this room, we're a lot more like each other than we think. And I want to use my knowledge and passion for remote work, which is something I think I offer, and I want to connect that with what I want, is to help create a more interconnected planet in my lifetime. Goosebumps. At least for me, I don't think you guys care. But what else do I offer, right? Understanding those two things. And what I do is I take a sheet of paper, I do this once a month. On the left, what do you want? What do you want? And what do you offer? Write 20 things, right? Write 20 things down. And then cross off the least important, leave yourself with 3, and figure out how those things interact. What do you want? What do you offer? Understand this about yourself if you want to find your dream job, if you want to find that traveling nomad lifestyle you're looking for. Next one. And then what's your process for success, right? Like, how do you manifest that every day? Like, I have like a mission statement and priorities that I look over every day that keeps me motivated because, again, I've worked remotely one way or another for 12 years now. it is so easy at 3 in the afternoon to just be like, you know what, that's it, I'm done. I'm just going to take a nap. I do that all the time when you want to meet, Dan, you know? But really, you need to create a structure for your life, for your business, for how you plan on going about that business within a company. And I say your business because in a lot of ways, you're an entrepreneur when you work remotely, right? Like you are in charge of your day, you're in charge of your life, it's your choice. For me, I wake up every morning and I say that mission statement, and then as I said, I go over my vision for my life and my priorities. It takes like 10 minutes. But as you can see, all day, I'm just fired up, you know? Number one, as we talked about, was to figure out what you want, right? Then to figure out what you offer. And last but not least is to build your process and really build that self-identity. Now, what do you guys really care about? Getting a job. I think the best way to find a remote job is within your current role. The negotiations can be long and arduous. I and others can help you out with this, but if you care about your employer and your employer cares about you, it's not that difficult to start opening a conversation that says, I'd be happier, I'd be more productive, I'd be more accountable, I'd be less likely to look elsewhere. And it'll start with a day, you know, and then it'll maybe move to 3 days. And then after 6 months, you're on the beach in Bali, coconut, you know, guys coming out of the water and everything. That is, and it's not easy, but negotiating with superiors, negotiating, you know, with your boss or with a CEO, it's not easy. It's very difficult, right? But just open the conversation and think about that. How could I take my current? I mean, when we look at it, we're all most people that work in tech or you know, for corporations are doing remote work anyway. They just happen to be sitting 10 feet away from each other. And we've been on a horrible, smelly bus for the last 20 minutes to get there. Number two, we did all that work to find out what we want. Number two is your current skills, right? My company, Study Soup, startup, I've been there a few years. It's been great. It's all remote. We're distributed around the world. I was ready to move on and do something else. I interviewed with a couple other remote companies. They weren't a great fit for the type of senior ops role I'm looking for. And I said, could I just do this myself? You know, could I just become a consultant? And 2 months later, here we are. And now I have my own operations and growth consultancy for startups. Everyone in this room, clearly you're passionate people. You're here at 6:30 on a Wednesday instead of having cognac or something, you know. What is that skill set you have? How do you, people will say test it on Upwork, sure that works. But at least for me, if you want to build a freelancing business, find the 30 most important people that you're connected with, friends, family, anybody in your network, just set up a 20-minute call with them and tell them this is what I'm doing. I've been able to build a lot of clients from that over the last couple of months. Your current skills. Now, let's talk about the simple way. Next one. I checked LinkedIn today. 156,000 remote jobs. Okay, now this is what everybody wants. LinkedIn's job board, 156,000 in the US. Believe it or not, candidates in Spain or in Europe have an incredible opportunity against Americans. American salaries are ridiculously high, right? And I'm not telling you to negotiate against yourself, but in Spain you can have a higher quality of life for less money. And I would encourage you to, for those remote roles is my Instagram. Remote roles, I would encourage you to apply and say, hey, I will work US hours. For me, I work till about 10 at night, Monday through Thursday. 11 some nights, 12 some nights. But apply for those roles and say, I'm just as good as anybody in the US, but I live here in Spain. And I think that, or really anywhere in Europe, it can provide a huge leg up. And the US remote companies I'm connected with, they are starting to hire here significantly versus past years. It is completely on the way up. So present yourself confidently as a candidate within remote jobs. I'm just about to turn it over to you, Christian. So what's next? What do we do next? We're so close to that beach. Next one. You need to take action, right? And by the way, in the middle, we could have talked about logistics, digital nomad life. You guys can figure that out. You don't need me to. That's part of the fun, right? It's like where your Airbnb is going to be, you know, and what plane you're catching where, and train, and so on and so forth. Legal is important, but all I would ask you to do from my conversation with you is take some action. Figure out what you want, you know? Figure out what you offer. Figure out how you can manifest that every day. It all falls into place. I'm going to leave you with one final quote from Victor Hugo. Nothing is as powerful as an idea whose time has come, right? And this idea, where we are with remote work, where we are with people, it's not just about Bali, right? It's not just about living in Mallorca. It's about living our lives in the way we want to live them, right? And ultimately, this time has come now. Believe in yourself, fight for what you want, and go out and build that dream job and dream life you want.
And now we will talk about immigration a little bit. Well, there is one possibility for those who want to live in Spain more than 183 days during the natural year to move to Spain to live, and if they don't have any intention to work for a Spanish company, just to come to live here, there is what we call the non-working residence permit, or well, the non-lucrative residence permit. And the process is straightforward. Is as follows. You need to get an appointment at the Consulate of Spain of your jurisdiction. So if you are from New York, in New York, if you are from Washington, in Washington, if you are from Los Angeles, in Los Angeles, and then you have to submit several documents. Basically, there is 4 main documents. Danny, if you want. Well, this is the 4 documents that you have to provide. You have to prove that you have enough funds to live in Spain without work. This is around 30,000 euros in savings. You have to provide the criminal records from FBI or the State Department from the state where you live. You need to have a private medical insurance. In Spain, they cost around 60 euros per month. And that's all. And you have to apply from the consulate. They give you the visa, then you come here. The first permit is for 1 year. After 1 year, you have to renew it. The next one is for 2 years. The next one is for 2 years. And then 5 years. After 10 years, if you want, you can apply for the Spanish nationality. Well, this is in general the process.
So I had a question about that. I heard it was more than just showing that you had X amount in the bank, that they asked that you show that you have a steady amount of money coming in?
Well, each consulate, the law says, I'm explaining what the Spanish law says. Another thing is that each consulate, they have their own consul, and they interpret the law a little bit on how they want. To be honest, it's a little bit unsecure because the law says 30,000. In New York, if you go to the consulate in New York, you provide 3 bank statements showing that in the last 3 months you had 30,000, and they give you the visa straight away. Even I have some clients in New York. Sorry, I'm talking about New York because it's the best consulate of Spain, in my opinion. After 3-4 days, they gave him the visa. But you go to Houston, for example, and the consulate, they request the tax declarations, they do an interview. So the process is a little bit different between each consulate. Anyway, all our clients, they got the visa because at the end, the United States, they have a good relation with Spain. So besides the consulates, they can be more or less disgusting or strict. At the end, they give the visa to everybody. And they follow these requirements, which is the 30. I say 30,000. The minimum is 26, but it's better to have a little bit more. And well, that's all actually about the financial funds. Normally, if the client hire our company, what we do is that we do a motivation letter where we explain the financial cost, because each U.S. citizen or from any other country, they have their own financial situation, so we do a resume for the embassy, so then for them it's more easy to understand, because we say, I have this monthly income, I have this savings, I have this trust, I have this property, or whatever, I have these investments, and then we do a balance, and we never had any case of rejection. Explain the things properly. Sometimes they request additional documents, but normally it goes quite straightforward. Another thing about the taxes, because if you come to live to Spain with a non-lucrative residence permit, you are not authorized to work in Spain. The Spanish government, they cannot oblige you not to work according to other jurisdictions, because Spain cannot say, no, you cannot work in the US, because it's not their country, they have jurisdiction only in Spain. The only thing that in long term, if you plan to come to live here, for the first year, the non-lucrative is a good option. For the second year, probably also yes. but at the end, it will be more practical for you to study the possibility to become tax resident in Spain and to get the work permit of Spain, and to start paying social security to be covered by the public health in case that you have any accident, to have a pension, maternity, blah, blah, blah. But this is the second step with our digital nomads, our clients who are coming to live here. The first year they can come for the non-lucrative, then we do the renewal, and then we study which would be the best option, because at the end, there is two types of digital nomads. There is some of remotely workers and all these concepts that they come here, they stay 2-3 years, and then they go to Bali, for example, they go to another country. Now for these clients, because it's not interesting to become tax residents, because at the end, there will be no benefits from the taxes that they pay here. But if you come to live here, but you are working for a US company, you say, Christian, I want to be the next 5 years in Spain. Because then after 1 year or after 2 years, the law allows to do a modification and to get the work permit in order to start paying your social security and your taxes and to get the public benefits and also to be tax resident here. This would be another scenario. Immigration is clear, it's simple. There is these requirements. One consulate will ask you another copy of the passport, one consulate will ask you a sworn translator, the other one will ask you a simple translation. The immigration is easy, the process. It is what it is, with the complexity that it can give the consulate. But immigration is always in the hand with the taxes, because when you come to live to a country more than 183 days, you could become tax resident of this country. On this sense, if you want to live 2, 3, 5 years, then we have to study the possibility to modify for the work permit in Spain, or there is another option that there is a little bit of controversy, legal jurisprudence on this, because there is a convention between Spain and the US. I'm talking about the US because I feel that most of you are from the US, but I am from all the countries of the world. This is applicable to all the countries. There is a convention where it can be the situation that you have a legal a residence permit of Spain, but you pay the taxes in the US. And then the IRS, for example, they issue a certificate where they say, according to the convention between Spain and the US, this citizen is living in Spain, but is tax resident in the US. So there will be two alternatives, or to continue being tax resident, or to become in the future tax resident of Spain. But this is important because nowadays the immigration and the taxes are not very connected, but there will be one moment that it will be very easy through the computer to say, mira, you are 183 days in Spain, so you have to be tax resident, or to get this certificate from your country, or to become to get the work permit. But this is a step by step at the end. But it's very important to have it clear also that you have to pay taxes in one country, in the US, in Spain, or whatever, and to find the best option for your case.